Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the official party to the stage. The Honorable Chrystia Freeland, Minister of International Trade, the Honorable Hal Jackman, Chancellor Emeritus, Mr. Arif Virani, alumnus and Member of Parliament, the Honorable Michael Wilson, Chancellor, Ms. Shirley Hoy, Chair of the University of Toronto Governing Council, Professor Meric Gertler, President, Mr. Tom Rahilly, Chair of the Faculty of Law, Campaign Cabinet, and finally, our host for the evening, Professor Ed Iacobucci, Dean of the Faculty of Law.
Thank you. To begin, we'd like to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Good evening. It is a tremendous honor to stand here today in such a magnificent building with such a remarkable group on such a wonderful occasion, to celebrate with our alumni and friends the official opening of the Jackman Law Building. Warm greetings to all of our honored guests, with special thanks to Minister Chrystia Freeland for being here today on very short notice. It's been an exciting year for this faculty, and we've been celebrating the Jackman Law Building since we've moved in. The Alaskan Law Library opened on a beautiful snowy day in February. We had a wonderful welcome back barbecue with hundreds of students earlier this month. And just last night, we had a wonderful grand moot with all three of our current Supreme Court Justice alumni on the panel. And today, we celebrate with our visionary and loyal alumni who helped make this building a reality. A moment like this, it's appropriate to reflect on the faculty's history and recall that, though it can seem that way with hindsight, the success of our faculty was not inevitable. This faculty emerged from a dynamic, often contentious, and I might add, to this day contentious, debate about the best way to educate lawyers, on the belief that law is a subject that demands searching, intellectual, academic inquiry. Dean Cecil Wright and his remarkable colleagues founded the modern Faculty of Law at the University of Toronto just under 70 years ago. It was an act of rebellion, and as most rebellions are, a risky one. But what a success. The early years of the law school attracted students who believed in the value of a university-based legal education and who took a chance on this fledgling school. Their subsequent success was remarkable. Graduates became leaders in law, in politics, in business, in academia, and other fields besides. Their accomplishments attracted the next generation of students and scholars, and we have benefited from this virtuous circle ever since, with class after class blazing trails across Canada and around the world. So the people in this room are the builders of this impressive place. You're the builders in multiple senses. Your generosity made this building project a success, but also the example of your leadership made this faculty a success. Each class at this faculty has been fortunate to stand on the shoulders of its predecessors. And as I've said on other occasions, there's always a danger in singling out any one contributor to a task like this, but in this case, I'm going to take the risk. His name is, after all, on the building. I'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Hal Jackman, one of the early graduates of our faculty, for his leadership and for his remarkable generosity to our law school. We're deeply indebted to Hal, Marucha, and the entire Jackman family, and are so very proud to enter this beautiful building each day. We will hear from Hal later in the program. Now I'd like to invite our alumnus, Arif Virani, to introduce Minister Freeland. Minister Virani is a member of Parliament for Parkdale High Park and Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship. Arif was first elected in 2015 after a 14-year career as a constitutional litigator. Among his many distinctions, he is a past winner of the faculty's Wilson Pritchard Award, given to alumni within 10 years of law school graduation for outstanding contributions to pro bono service. Mr. Virani.
Thank you very much, Ed. I can still call you Ed, I presume, right? Yeah. But most importantly, Chancellor Emeritus Jackman, President Gertler, Dean, distinguished panelists, and friends and faculty. It's amazing to look out here and see so many people from so many different walks of life, people who taught me, people who studied with me, people whose notes I might have borrowed in class. It's terrific to be here with all of you. I'm very proud to be here as a member of Parliament. I'm also very, very proud. Hi, Dean Daniels, how are you? I'm very proud to be here as an alumnus of this institution. One could go on and on and on, but Dean Iacobucci would be angry with me, but just about what this institution means to people. And I can tell you, having come out of it 18 years ago, the bonds you will form here, the relationships you will develop, the learning that you will cultivate, it will bode you well no matter what you do. It was a tremendous and formative part of my entire life, and I'm deeply indebted to this institution for it. But I also remember being with others, including Jeremy and Grant Warden and others, when we were on the Law Alumni Council, when this whole entity was just a bit of a pipe dream. And it's amazing to see it all come to fruition so quickly. And I think that's really a testament to the generosity of people that includes the students, that includes the faculty members, it includes the distinguished alumni of this institution who have given so generously, led by people like Chancellor Jackman. It's also an honor for me to be able to convey some greetings by an individual who really wanted to be here quite significantly, but was torn away by some significant world events. Sometimes world events take precedence over domestic ones, and the Prime Minister is going to be attending the funeral of President Shimon Peres tomorrow in Israel. But he had conveyed this greeting to me that I just want to share with you. It's on from the Office of the Prime Minister, and it says, "It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the official opening of the Jackman Law Building at the University of Toronto. As the new semester begins, we gather to mark the opening of a stunning new building for the Faculty of Law. The Jackman Law Building stands as a testament to the University of Toronto's dual nature as a place of learning and as a vibrant community. Complete with study rooms and social spaces, the structure will serve as a spectacular gathering point for our law students and faculty, including the new class of 2019. Let us also take this opportunity to recognize the great diversity of the school's students and staff, a diversity that gives rise to new ideas and ultimately strengthens the value of degrees and the research carried out at this world-class institution. Thank you to those who have diligently worked over the past years to make the Jackman Law Building a reality. And please accept my warmest welcome and best wishes for a memorable opening ceremony." And it's signed, the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau. I want to now turn to the colleague to my left, who I will share with you is both a friend, a mentor, a part-time Ukrainian tutor. Chrystia Freeland is well known to many people as a distinguished journalist, writer, and thinker on all matters economic. She is also well known as, obviously, our Minister of International Trade. I'm honored to count her as a colleague and a friend, and I ask you to join me in welcoming her to this institution.
This is the third speech I've given today, and at the other ones they had a little step for me to stand on so that I could reach. Thank you very much, Arif, for that kind introduction. I'd like to follow Ed in acknowledging that we're here on the traditional lands of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation, and really, Chancellor Emeritus Hal Jackman, what a great thing you've done for our city, for our law school, and for our university. It's a real privilege for me to be here to celebrate that. Je suis très, très contente d'être ici avec vous ce soir et c'est un très, très grand honneur pour moi de représenter notre Premier ministre. Comme Arif a déjà dit, le Premier ministre vraiment a voulu être ici avec nous, mais à cause de la mort très, très triste de Shimon Peres, il ne peut pas être avec nous ici. L'université, la faculté de droit est très important pour notre vie, pour notre province, pour notre pays. C'est vraiment un centre, Meric, d'excellence mondiale et à une importance très, très centrale. Et je suis fière d'être pas seulement la ministre du Commerce international, mais aussi le député de University Rosedale. I'm very, very proud to be the member of parliament of this outstanding community and really proud that the word university is in the name of our riding because of the truly central importance that the university plays in our community, for our city, for our province, and for our country. And this really is a place of global excellence. And I am just so grateful to everyone here who has been part of building that. And please know that your government supports you tremendously. Now, I have to say, on a personal note, I feel slightly fraudulent speaking here at a law school because of the many failures in my life. One of them is that I'm not a lawyer. I did actually go to law school. I was born when my parents were law students at the U of A, and so they took me to law school as a baby. I was known as the law school baby. Bev McLaughlin actually remembers me from those days. And I actually was supposed to be a lawyer. The only reason I'm not is because the Soviet Union collapsed. True story. I was on I had 6 months between finishing university and going to graduate school, and I thought I would spend that time in what was then still the Soviet Union. It collapsed while I was there, and all of a sudden that turned me into a journalist, because there was no one else in Ukraine, basically, who could speak English and write paragraphs. But for the collapse of the Soviet Union, perhaps I would have had the honor and the privilege to be in your ranks. And certainly, as your MP, I see so many familiar faces. I see people I have play dates with because our sons are best friends. I see very, very many leading figures in our community. And what Ed said about the law school, really educating, of course, our country's lawyers, but also our country's leaders, is absolutely correct. And it is a really, really important task. I said that the Prime Minister had really wanted to be here, and he told me that when he asked me if I could come and speak in his stead. I initially said, what a terrible job, because it's great to work in Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet, but when you're his stand-in, it's always kind of a disappointment. So I apologize for that. Sorry, I'm not Justin Trudeau. But one reason he really wanted to be here this evening, and he had set aside the time to be with you and with us, is because of how important this law school was to his father. And as I'm sure many of you know, Pierre Elliott Trudeau spoke at a convocation held in honor of the opening of the Boralaskan Law Library in 1991. And the Prime Minister was very aware of that and had been intending to talk a little bit about the very important speech that Pierre Elliott Trudeau gave at that time. I see all the lawyers in the crowd nodding their heads. Being a failed non-lawyer, I wasn't aware of it until getting ready for now. But I want to read just one line from it because it does speak to the importance of the law, of law schools in the life of our country. In constitutional societies, the rule of law, to borrow Dicey's well-known expression, applies to the state as well as to the individual. And courts of last resort, when called upon to interpret the Constitution, must determine the rights and obligations that governments and people possess in relation to each other. In that sense, they become part of the process of empowering people and institutions. What an essential and really noble undertaking that is. What a central job that is in the life, in the flourishing of our country and our society. And it's really thanks to you that we're able to do that. So thank you for all of your hard work in building this institution, in working at this institution, in supporting this institution. And above all, really to all the young lawyers who are here, thank you so much for being the future leaders of our country and our society, and being the people who will do that essential job of empowering people and institutions. Wonderful to be with you.
Well, Minister Freeland, Chancellor Emeritus Jackman, other distinguished members of the platform panel, distinguished alumni and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for being here. My name is Meric Gertler, and it is my distinct privilege to serve as the president of the University of Toronto. Minister, thank you so much for your very gracious remarks and also for your presence here today. Of course, we understand it was not possible for the Prime Minister to attend as planned, but we are truly, truly delighted that you've joined us. And if I may say, Canada is well represented by you as our Minister of International Trade, and this campus could not have a better advocate than you as the MP for University Rosedale. You're a great friend of U of T, and you are always welcome here, anytime. So thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed a historic and indeed a very happy occasion. For far too long, our Faculty of Law has operated in a physical environment that did not fully reflect its excellence and stature as one of the world's best law schools. Today, all of that has changed. The Jackman Law Building will enable the faculty to realize its ambitions and to keep building on its great strengths in law and economics, constitutional law, indigenous law, and international human rights. This brilliant addition to the campus and to the city will also stand as a testament to the Honorable Hal Jackman, one of this university's greatest champions, and indeed one of Canada's most visionary philanthropists. Hal, you and your family have done so much to inspire and enable us, from law and the humanities to a range of other initiatives as wide and varied as U of T itself. Your leadership has been truly transformational, and it will be felt in the lives of our faculty, staff, and students for many years to come. So on behalf of the entire University of Toronto community, I thank you for your outstanding commitment to the advancement of our mission. Thank you. Of course, this new landmark structure is also a testament to the hard work and dedication of our faculty, staff, students, alumni, and many, many friends. I would like to acknowledge and thank the three individuals who have led the Faculty of Law over the course of this building project, Mayo Moran, Yuta Brunet, and of course, Ed Iacobucci, for bringing us to this day. I'd also like to offer a very special word of thanks to our alumni and friends. Through your support for the Jackman Law Building, you've helped to provide a superb educational experience for future generations of Canadian and global leaders in law, business, academia, and public service. Following in your footsteps, these emerging leaders will strengthen our laws, defend our rights, and fight for an ever more just, inclusive, and prosperous society. It is incredibly exciting and incredibly hopeful. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, let me say thank you and congratulations, one and all.
Thank you very much, President Gertler. So I want to say a few thank yous. Obviously, we are incredibly proud to have such extraordinary and public spirited alumni, many of whom are here today. The Honorable Hal Jackman's gift was certainly a game changer. So too was the extraordinary gift of David Asper. But of course, on top of these foundational gifts, it took many generous individuals and firms to make this a reality. They gave financially, they gave of their time and advice, and it was indispensable to the success of this building. Thank you. I'd also like to thank, as President Gertler did, former Dean Professor Mayo Moran and former Assistant Dean of Advancement, Kate Hilton, who spearheaded the building renewal project from the beginning, alongside a stellar campaign cabinet led by Tom Rahilly, from whom we'll hear later, and Clay Horner. They had an incredible case for support, and they built alumni momentum that was unstoppable. Thank you to them very much. The Jackman Law Building is 4 stories of beautiful spaces, flooded with natural light, surrounded by lush green canopies. Who knew that we had such greenery around us? Will change our community for the better for generations. The award-winning architectural accomplishment provides a spectacular home for what we do so well here: have globally leading professors educate globally leading students. We need only look at this audience tonight to see the impact of this school outside our walls, with leaders in a variety of fields who regularly come back to share with us their wisdom, their guidance, their mentorship with our students and with our faculty. With this new facility, we're especially eager to see what the future brings. The Jackman Law Building is not just a fitting tribute to our alumni's generosity, but is also a beautiful and innovative landmark on campus. We're so very proud and fortunate to be a significant part of city building. So thank you, our Faculty of Law family, for this spectacular building and for connecting the strength of our history with unlimited possibilities for our future. Next, I'm going to call upon the University of Toronto's Governing Council Chair, not a straightforward position, I can tell you, Ms. Shirley Hoy, to speak, and then I will ask Tom Rahilly, the Campaign Co-Chair, to come up and say a few words. But first, Ms. Hoy.
Thank you, Dean Iacobucci. Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Governing Council of the University of Toronto, I offer my congratulations to all of you who worked so hard to realize the vision in which we're standing today. And let me add my thanks to the Honorable Hal Jackman and to all the alumni and friends whose generosity made it possible. This surge of support and goodwill towards the Faculty of Law has also made a major contribution to the university's overall Boundless campaign. The campaign, which is led so effectively with the support of our central and divisional advancement teams, is transforming our 3 campuses, and it's laying the foundation for U of T's continued success in an increasingly competitive and globalized world. I would also like to acknowledge the dedication and professionalism of all those involved in the Jackman Law Building project. Harari Pontarini Architects and B&H Architects, Eastern Construction, the Faculty of Law Project Planning Team, University Planning, Design and Construction, Facilities and Services, the Provost's Office, and of course, the Office of the Chief Financial Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, great institutions such as the Faculty of Law and the University of Toronto do not develop by accident. They flourish only where public-spirited men and women are willing to support them. We are very, very fortunate to be part of such a community which believes so strongly in the importance of our academic mission. And of course, we are so fortunate to attract such brilliant students. This generation of students is incredibly smart, diverse, conscientious, and globally engaged. I know that they will make the most of this cutting-edge, beautiful building and to take what they learn here to make our world a better place. So in closing, on behalf of Governing Council, let me say, once again, thank you, congratulations, everyone.
Minister, other distinguished people on the panel with me, and all of you, hello. I'm glad to be here. It's hard to believe it's almost exactly 5 years to the day since my wife said to me, you should go down and see Mayo. They need some help getting started. And at the time, there was a lot of skepticism in the aftermath of the Lehman panic and the beginnings of the Great Recession, whether, in fact, over $30 million could be raised for this building. But there couldn't be any doubt about the need, and here we are. It happened. Surprisingly, in the face of a certain amount of skepticism, many of our leading members of this law school community accepted the dean's invitation to join the campaign cabinet, and they proved to be very generous with their advice and with their giving. Many more alumni also accepted the campaign challenge, gave generously, and persuaded many others to give. In total, over 600 alumni gave to this campaign, representing almost 3/4 of the funds raised. A large number of you are here tonight. Many are not, but whether you're here or not, I thank you all. Not to be overlooked is the influence of the downtown firms. Some of them are named on the wall, as they were down the hall as well, and elsewhere in the building. They were very generous. They were an important leg to our stool. They gave in their own right, but they also gave in support of their alumni members, and they represented about 20% of the campaign. There are many representatives of these firms here with us tonight. I thank them for their support. It's very good to see people recognize the value of an institution like the U of T Law School in their community. One of the issues that became apparent as we got into the campaign was that without a major gift, we were likely to fall short. And as you've heard already and already knew, I expect, Hal Jackman not only absorbed this truth, but he responded to it. And we're all very grateful to Hal for his support and for his support over many years, really. Hal, in addition to this outstanding gift, and it's a great pleasure for me to see his name on the building. In closing, like Ed, I'd like to thank Mayo Moran and Kate Hilton, who at the time were Dean and Development Officer, and their staffs for the privilege of working with them. They were tireless on the campaign and fearless fundraisers. You didn't have to doubt that they would put the ask. We couldn't have done it without them. I would add it's been a pleasure to deal with Ed, Mayo's successor as Dean, and with Chantal Courtney, who succeeded Kate. Finally, I'd like to thank my co-chair, Clay Horner of Oslers, for his early leadership and his generous gift to the campaign. Just as we were getting underway, Clay suffered a very serious skiing accident that precluded his continuing in an active role. We missed his enthusiasm and his good humor. It was always fun to be around Clay, and I wish him well. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley and Tom. So now I'd like to introduce the Honorable Henry N.R. Jackman. Mr. Jackman is the ideal benefactor. His extraordinary generosity is evident around the entire law school, and not just the Jackman Law Building. He supported renovations to the much-loved Rowell Room. He supported the Rosalie Silberman Abella Moot Courtroom, whose grand reopening we celebrated last night. He recently established the Newton Rowell Fellowships and Bursaries, as well as the innovative J.R. Kimber Chair in Investor Protection and Corporate Governance. But on top of his giving, he's a valuable and frequent contributor to the intellectual life of the law school, present at many an event, and we have lots of them, and we're truly grateful for that support as well. Now, many of you will know that while Mr. Jackman was among the originals to graduate from the modern law school, he never actually practiced. In fact, he has claimed on more than one occasion not to especially like lawyers. He does, however, love the law, and I'll give you a couple of anecdotes to describe that. So one of the first times I met him, I was a nervous assistant professor, and I met Hal at what appeared to be to the untrained eye as a harmless garden party. I was instead subject to a grilling by the university's chancellor at that time about something I'd written in the alumni magazine, Nexus, on corporate governance. I was, I am certain, perfectly correct in what I had written, but for some reason, Hal was skeptical and was most willing to share his doubts with me. More recently, he and I had a discussion of U.S. constitutional law, which prompted him to give me a copy of his latest light bedside reading, a book on the history of dissent and the U.S. Supreme Court. What was most striking about this gift, aside from its subject matter, was how marked up it was, with underlined passages and notes and highlights to himself everywhere. This is the kind of curiosity and passion for ideas that our university strives to incubate. We are lucky to have such an exemplary alum in Mr. Jackman. I could go on, but I know that Hal already thinks that the program's too long. So I will stop there simply by saying thank you for your support for our faculty. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hal Jackman.
Well, thank you very much, Ed. You're right, I did graduate from this place, but it was 1956. That was 60 years ago, which makes me somewhat of a relic. And he is right, I never practiced. I achieved something much greater than being a member of the Supreme Court. I became a client. And if I wasn't a client, and if it weren't for clients, this place would never have been built. So, and I can assure you, if I had practiced law, I would never have been able to afford a major contribution to this place. So this is a kind of a moving experience for all of us, because this atrium, this space, connects the historical Flavel House and the new building, and behind us, I think, is the building which was built in the 70s to house the Alaskan Library. But normally, when it's not an official occasion like this, this is where students congregate. Right behind me, and you can't see it because it's right there, is a fireplace. This is a warm place where students, some of the brightest young minds in Canada, come and they discuss their problems, their cases, whatever it is, and it makes me, I think, feel very proud and somewhat humble that right here in this room will be the young people who will lead the practice of law and justice in our country. They will become, some of them will become appeal court judges. There may be certain members that will become justices of the Supreme Court of Canada. We had 3 of them graduates of this school last night at supervising the Abella Moot Court. And Dean, incidentally, on that issue, you should, when you write to the Prime Minister, tell him that we have students and graduates who come from the Maritimes as well. So I have nothing more to say. I knew really when I was Lieutenant Governor, I said the first thing you learn is that when it's getting dark outside and your audience does not have chairs, they're standing, it's time to shut up. I'm delighted that the faculty have all moved into their new offices. They might add, I should say, Minister, they moved in with no cost at all to the taxpayers. So God bless you all. Thank you. Bless you.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Hal, thank you very much for your inspiring words and your very pointed reference, but also for the visionary gift that you've made here to this wonderful law school. It's something that will be remembered for many, many years, and we will be very, very grateful to you for a long, long time. Now, for those of you who I have not met, my name is Michael Wilson. I'm the Chancellor of the University of Toronto, and I'm honored to be able to say a few final words to this evening's proceedings. And I'd like to take the opportunity first to thank the student volunteers, including the performers that we enjoyed earlier from the Faculty of Music, for their contribution to this wonderful ceremony. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are many ways to measure the excellence of a university. Its record of discovery and innovation, the quality of its teaching, and the accomplishments of its alumni. By any of these criteria, the University of Toronto ranks among the very best universities in the world. But today we're reminded of another key factor in a university's impact as a truly global institution: the presence of a top-quality law school. This is something that the U of T has had for decades, and the country, as well as the university, is much better for it. Graduates of this faculty have made profound contributions to the law, governance, and prosperity of the Toronto region, Canada, and indeed the world. You've heard earlier that our law alumni include former Prime Minister and Finance Minister Paul Martin, had to get that in, 7 Supreme Court justices, including 3 sitting members, champions of equality and trailblazers for women and minorities in law firms, boardrooms, and throughout the legal system. Innovators and entrepreneurs who've generated jobs and wealth in our communities. And I could go on. The Jackman Law Building will help ensure that this fine tradition of national and global leadership continues well into the future. We could not have reached this day without the support of our alumni and friends, and we're so grateful to you for your engagement and for your great generosity. And I'd like to say again how grateful we are to my esteemed predecessor as Chancellor, the Honorable Hal Jackman, for his magnificent contributions to the advancement of the university as a whole and its brilliant Faculty of Law. So in closing, I invite you all to stay first to see the ribbon cutting, but then to explore the building and to enjoy the refreshments and also the fine company, all your friends here joining us this evening. Thank you all very much, and we'll get on to the ribbon cutting right now.
So I'll invite the chair of our governing council to lead us in the ribbon cutting. So Shirley Hoy.